joining us, because we're staying in town because we are taking a collective conscious vacation from those beliefs and those ideas that no longer serve us. We are going to move into a place of peace as songs and joy and love, as Bill spoke of, because our true being is to express God's love, to be God's light, and to live God's truth. And so that's what we're taking a vacation from all the other stuff. So I'm going to briefly discuss what we went over last week. We took a vacation from the trance of scarcity, breaking free from that idea that we are not enough. I am not enough. There is not enough. We took a whole wonderful little vacation last week on that. And 3 of the tools that we used were, 1 was doing a reality check. And in that reality check, we realized that everything that we need, we have right here, right now. Not in an hour, not in a day, not in a week, but now, in this now moment. Everything that we need, we have. That's a reality check. That was 1 tool. The second one was opening our eyes and seeing God that is right in front of us, right in front of us. Because 90% of the time, the good that we experience, we just don't even acknowledge it. We focus on the 10%. The 10% of the things that don't appear that they are working correctly in our lives. What do we focus on? We focus on that 10% or that 5% or whatever percent it is, instead of appreciating the good that's all around us for us to see with our eyes. So opening our eyes. Number 3 is to be willing to be a giver to life. A giver. You want to really raise your vibration, give to someone else. It makes them feel good and it makes you feel great. So through those 3 different tools, you can really let go of that take a vacation from the trance of scarcity. All right, so today we're going to take a break from something that absolutely keeps us from the first portion of this month's intention, which is expressing God's love. It's really, and it really is wonderful to talk about God's love. It feels good. It's uplifting. God is good. We read Emma Curtis, Hopkins, Troward, all these wonderful authors, and we feel great. And we take these classes, and we are so inspired. We do these affirmations. We have these positive thoughts. But sometimes it's extremely challenging to practice it. What it is that makes God's love so difficult at times? What is that? The answer is very obvious. It's really obvious. It's other people. Right? These other people. They can't get it right. They can't get it right. They do things that inconvenience me. They're difficult and sometimes just plain stupid. And if they would just get it right, then it's like I can experience God's love. Wrong, sorry. Wrong. It's our anger. Our anger. Or more precisely, it is the expression of our anger in our lives. And that expression that takes place in destructive ways, not in positive ways, because there is a little bit of a way of directing anger. We'll talk about that. But that anger keeps us from expressing and experiencing the good, God's love, which is always present. Anger will block it fully. New Thought author Dr. Joseph Murphy, in his book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, talking about the subconscious mind, writes, what other people say or do cannot really annoy or irritate you except that you permit him to disturb you. The only way he can annoy you is through your own thought. For example, if you get angry, you go through 4 stages in your mind. You begin to think about what he said or she said. You decide to get angry, and you generate an emotion of rage. Then, he writes, you decide to act. Perhaps you talk back and react in kind. You see that the thought, emotion, reaction, and action all take place in your mind. There's no escaping it, no escaping it. We have to take responsibility. It all takes place in our mind. And most of the time, this whole anger thing happens in such a nanosecond, such instantaneously, so quickly, that we go through all 4 stages in a microsecond before we realize, you know, this does not feel good. This does not feel good. So, to be clear, not saying that anger is bad when used in a correct way, in a way that we can channel it into having positive effects, and we should feel it when we feel it appropriately and acknowledge it. Otherwise, what happens is we hold on to these little angers, and they all build up, and we hold them in, and then one day we wake up and the slightest little thing happens and we become a volcano. And we explode. And people are, you know, it's just one little thing. But it's because we're not appropriately expressing the anger when it comes up. So let's listen to the powerful words of Ernest Holmes on this subject. When our minds are filled with thoughts of anger, hatred, and resentment, we are pouring into our body poisons in the making. But degenerative thoughts can be turned into creative, energizing, vitalizing ones. Anger can be turned into love, and the very power that has been destroying can be made to build up. And these are wonderful words. I believe them 100%. They sound perfect, but they stop short of giving us counsel on how to turn the anger into love. You gotta get practical too. You know, we live spiritual lives, we come to be spiritually nourished, but we want to take it into practice. So we have some tools today, of course. But we're all looking for that answer. How do we turn anger into love? Let's not get to the end of our lives with these feelings of, I could have done it a better way. If only I didn't. If only I didn't respond that way. You know, but remember Ernest Holmes' words, anger can be turned into love. And we only have now, remember that from last week, so right here, right now, this is when we're taking that vacation from anger, right here, right now. Ernest Holmes' words, anger can be turned into love, and the very power that has been destroying can be made to build up. We can definitely use our anger for constructive endeavors. We have, you know, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, we have political activities, we have all kinds of ways of channeling our, you know, some of our anger or frustration into a positive thing. So we can focus it on that. But anger addressed to the person with whom we are angry will never, ever, ever work. It won't work because it cannot bring more love. It cannot. We have so much anger in this world today, and what anger truly does is it stops all goodness. It stops all happiness. It stops the flow of life itself. It really does. It blocks because you don't feel safe. If you're in a place where anger is being directed at you, or you are being angry, or you yourself are being angry, you've just shut off the love, the happiness, the peace. You cannot have anger and that good that we spoke of. You can't have it at the same time. Impossible. Can't happen. What we need to teach one another is all through our teachings, we find all of these beautiful writings that talk about love, that talk about peace and joy. But I really had to broaden my search a little bit to find some really good tools in order that we can make it practical. So I have 5 steps from taking a vacation from anger today, and they are written by someone that Reverend Jessica and I had the honor of being at every single one of his workshops at the conference we went to, ANT, and conference in Arizona, and it's Dr. Greg Bear. And his book, he's got a lot of books, but the first one is Real Love. And it's Real Love, the truth about finding unconditional love and fulfilling relationships. Amazing, amazing man. Just really practices this stuff. And he does it like he has people sit up there, and you have to experience him at some point. He is phenomenal. So I'm going to use his book. There were some real practical tools in there. And the 5 areas that we're going to step into, the five areas are: 1, be quiet; be wrong; feel loved; get love; and be loving. So we're going to go through all 5 of those steps, and I'll repeat them at the end. The first step, be quiet. When we are upset and we think we have to say something to someone, this is the exact time that we shouldn't. When we really feel that anger well up within us, right? It's really, really welling up. And Don McGarrett-West, we just finished the 4 Agreements class, says we're spreading the poison. That's when we direct the poison. When we are in that state of frustration, of resentment, of anger. There once was a boy who had a very bad temper. His father gave him a bag of nails and told him that every time he lost his temper, to hammer a nail into the back of this fence in the backyard. The first day, the boy had driven 37 nails into that fence. Most of us can do on occasion.
Is that all?
Over the next few weeks, he learned to replace his anger with love. The number of nails he hammered started to decrease daily. And he discovered that it was easier not to get angry than to have to hammer a nail into the back of the fence. And finally, the day came when the boy didn't lose his temper at all. And he told his father about it. And the father suggested that now, each day, he pulled a nail out. When he didn't lose his temper, pull a nail out each day, 1 a day. So he did this. And he was very excited to go and tell his father on the day that all the nails were pulled out of the fence. And the father took the son by the hand over to the fence, and he said, "You've done well, my son, but look at the holes in the fence. The fence will never be the same. When you say things in anger, they leave a scar, just like this one. You could put a knife in a man and draw it out. It won't matter how many times you say, 'I'm sorry.' No matter that you might never ever do this again, the wound is still there. The wound that anger causes, we can heal it, but the memory of that wound can stay alive, and sometimes for lifetimes. So again, anger. Anger can be a knife, like those nails. And you can hammer that anger into people, and that wound stays. So it takes a long time to heal, to forgive. So think for a moment, when was the last time you spoke to someone in anger? And the conversation ended genuinely happy, loving. You felt love, they felt love. Feeling like you were moving the relationship forward? Ever? Last time you spoke to someone in anger? How much love was shown? How much love did you feel? So the old counsel of counting to 10 really is kind of a good idea before we lash out, before we really let things go that are like nails that hammer into people and really hurt them. The pain is, that's what we then are left with. We are not left with love. We're not left with peace. We're just left not feeling good. And no one feels good when anger is being expressed in inappropriate ways. So number 2, be wrong. And before you get in a huff about that being wrong thing, because we always have to be right, let me explain wrong in this context. It does not mean bad or unworthy or ungodlike. It does not mean not good enough or any of those definitions. We often give the word wrong. Think of the analogy 2 + 2 = 5. It's wrong. That's wrong. That's the kind of wrong that we're speaking about. And if you believe that 2 + 2 = 5, you will never, ever, ever, ever get a balanced checkbook. It will always be wrong. Getting angry, getting really angry is wrong. And it will never take you to a place of happiness. It will never take you to a place of love. Impossible. It will never, ever make you happy. In fact, it destroys all happiness. It flattens it right out. After you've been quiet, which is step 1, then you can sit back and reflect for a moment. Take yourself to the realization that this anger you are feeling is wrong within your mind. Count to that 10 and just think, this is wrong. In other words, it's wrong because it will never make me happy. It will never we have the power to do this. That's what I want to get across. We have the power to control our emotions and our thoughts. We have that power. And anger is wrong. And we can sit back and say it's wrong, just like 2 + 2 = 5 is wrong, if we use that kind of analogy for the word wrong. When you feel disappointed, frustrated, or angry, repeat that again. I am disappointed or angry. I am wrong. It could be an affirmation. It could be an inner affirmation. Using the denial system. I deny this anger as my truth. I deny it as my truth. Instead, I replace it with the fact that I am pure love. The essence of the soul within me is love itself. So you deny the anger and go to the place of truth. Wrong, truth. Anger, happiness. It's your choice. It's your choice. The third step is to stop and feel loved. We become afraid in conflict. A lot of us don't. I don't like conflict. A lot of us do not like conflict. And react with anger or fear because we don't feel loved. That's why we get angry. The only reason we get angry is because we don't feel the love. The disagreements and the anger of other people who feel threatening to us. We can feel safe when we are aligned in that truth of love, when we really are at a place of peace within ourselves. So what is anger when we get right down to it? It is a response to not feeling really loved. Course in Miracles says it very simply. You have two choices. Love is either a love or a call for love. One or the other. It really, as you really start to contemplate this whole anger concept and this peace concept, it starts to make more sense. It's either love or a call for love. If someone's really lashing out, it's a call for love. It's a call for love. And it's a discipline. It's a discipline for all of us. In Real Love, Greg Bear makes this analogy. He says, let's say someone sneaks into your house and steals $2 off your kitchen table. And this is your last $2 and you were going to use it for a loaf of bread. You're going to the store. You get very upset and angry. How dare this thief, this horrible person, steal this from me? Now let's look at it again in a little different way. The thief sneaks into your house and steals the $2 off of your table. But instead of it being your last $2, you have $1 million in the other room. Well, are you angry now? Not so much. Maybe in this case, you have compassion. You think, well, somebody really needed that $2 so badly. It's okay. I can deal with that. So in this sense, because you have so much love within you, this in the other room or in the room, within us, that a little bit, taking a little bit when you have so much, you can have compassion. It's not hanging on, scarcity.